All right, guys, welcome back to another video. We have an interesting one today, to say the least. There is quite a bit going on in what appears to be a relatively sleepy crypto market, but there's a lot going on in the back end. And we're talking about the possibility of Bitcoin's price going down to 7,000 or even lower. There has never been a time when so many different US presidents or presidential candidates have spoken about Bitcoin. Greyscale, I have talked about it in my previous videos. Greyscale has been buying up a tremendous amount of Bitcoin, more than has been mined actually. However, they haven't been buying any for the past 3 weeks. What does that mean? And last but not least, I'm going to tell you about one of the altcoins that has been on my radar tremendously the past few days. It is extremely interesting, and it works differently than any other altcoin out there. There's opportunity for exponential growth, and I will tell you why. Stay tuned right after this. All right, guys, let's jump into it. So first article here from bitcoinist.com. There's lots of open air for Bitcoin down to 7,000 if this level is lost. So basically what it's talking about is, according to analysts, Bitcoin is currently at the edge of a cliff from a technical perspective. They say that if the asset slides any further than it already has from the mid-9,000s, it risks dropping to $7,000. Bitcoin is on the verge of falling to 7,000. So while Bitcoin's price action may seem lackluster over the past few days, the asset is trending on extremely thin ice. One trader shared the chart below on July 18th, showing that the asset is currently tiptoeing on the support of the Ishimoku cloud. Okay, never heard of that one before, but look, it looks like a cloud. As he put it, the daily cloud support is being respected for the time being, referencing how close BTC is to losing that technical level. Ooh, look at that, is tiptoeing on thin ice, my friends. You know, I don't know what this cloud is, but it looks like it's walking on clouds, which, you know, all right. Should Bitcoin fall into the Ishimoku cloud, whose upper banding is increasing, it will likely begin what is known as the end-to-end move. So basically what they're saying here is, see here how, let's just see if we can, yep. So here it's just tiptoeing, and if it continues horizontal here, it'll enter here in just a few days into this cloud, and then they expect that if that happens, then it just falls down here to, approximately $7,075 or $7,100. The expectations of a correction to the 7,000s and maybe lower have been corroborated by other market commentators. The same trader who predicted that Bitcoin would bottom at 6,400 during 2019's bear market recently shared analysis suggesting that Bitcoin hits the 7,000s in Q3 2021. He attributed to the sentiment to a bullish trend indicator soon and to turn bearish, along with a fractal that is correction to 6,800 to 7,200 is highly possible. And I'll give you my thoughts on this whole thing after I finish this article, because this other guy, long-term bull case intact, right? So while there is strong confluence of traders expecting a retracement to 7,000s and maybe lower, most remain convinced that a bull run follows. This is actually holds true for myself as well. I do believe there's going to be a correction, but not for the same reason these guys do. I'll tell you about that in a second. One trader believes that Bitcoin will fall toward the 2020 lows and has shared the chart below just a day ago. As reported by Bitcoinist, while he expects the aforementioned drop, the trader also thinks that Bitcoin will rally to new all-time highs above $20,000 after said drop. So this guy, trader XO, X to the Izzo, is drawing this little line here. Yep. He likes these lines here, and this is the lines that this guy likes to draw. For those of you who like lines, and to draw them, and arrows that point different directions, up and down. So he thinks basically that there's going to be a drop, and on this one it looks like it's to the mid 3,000s, and basically to the moon after that. So I think without doubt, there's a lot of consensus in this industry that we are very close to a bull run here for Bitcoin. So for myself, I agree that I believe there's going to be some type of correction before we see a bull run. However, it's nothing to do with technical analysis, in my opinion. And in my opinion, the reason we've been trending sideways for so long is because people are just so damn uncertain about what the hell is going on right now. You know, you've got nearly 40 million unemployed in the United States. The stock market has artificially been propped up, which isn't a good representation of what the actual economy looks like. Retail investors don't have much money right now to put into the market. Institutions are waiting on the sideline. As I'll get to in a little bit, you will see Greyscale hasn't done anything for 3 weeks. Why is that? So what I will do is if we see retracement to 7,000, I will buy in. And if we see retracement to 3,000, anywhere in the 3,000s, I will buy in heavily again. All right, next up, let's talk about presidential candidates and their Bitcoin discussions. Joe Biden reveals how much Bitcoin he owns. All right, I don't need to read the whole thing, but basically Bitcoin, Joe Biden, after the Bitcoin or the Twitter hacks where, you know, all kinds of presidential candidates, presidents, famous people, celebrities all got their Twitter accounts hacked, and people asked the hackers asked their followers to send them Bitcoin, and they would send them twice as much back. Joe Biden went on record to say that I don't have Bitcoin. I'll never ask you to send me money. But if you want to chip in and help make Donald Trump a one-term president, you can do it here. So Biden doesn't own any Bitcoin, but any news is good news. You know, like when in 2000, I mean, all the way up until like 2016, I guess, you know, it was pretty rare to hear Bitcoin in the news at all. You know, I've been in the space since 2012, and I remember, you know, 2013 or 14 or whatever, even like if I heard Bitcoin in anything, if I heard it on the news or radio or someone mentioned it, it was like, holy shit, that's interesting. And usually the market reacted whenever we had heard something about Bitcoin, right? So now we have presidents and presidential candidates talking about it as well. So Andrew Yang, if this guy, I mean, I wish this guy would actually be president, maybe. You know, anyone who supports Bitcoin, or and especially someone like Andrew who has been in it for such a long time, I would cast my vote because they're probably much more aligned with my values of the world than anybody else, right? So this guy says, Andrew Yang, huge news. My campaign can now accept Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other cryptocurrencies. Awesome, right? That's dope. Like, amazing, right? Like he gets it. And then also the Andrew Yang, I said he's been in it for a while. Look at this tweet from December 7th, which is my birthday, actually. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And this is like, I'd already been in the market for about a year by this time. But anyway, nice that he did my birthday. And I like him even more now. I sense the Bitcoin price correction will make some fellows nervous, right? And this is 2013. So, and then Trump, as you know, probably he's been talking about it before. It's Trump, and, you know, he's already rich, whatever. I'm not a fan of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, which are not money and whose value is highly volatile and based on thin air. Unregulated crypto assets can facilitate unlawful behavior, including drug trade and other illegal activity. Okay, Trump. It sounds like he's just. It sounds like he's talking about the U.S. dollar right now, whose value is highly volatile and based on thin air. And the fact that he thinks that it can be used for drug trade and other illegal activity. Hello, have you seen what has gone on with Wells Fargo or HSBC, who are laundering billions of dollars in U.S. currency for drug cartels and terrorists and things like that? HSBC had a scandal where they were laundering money and transferring money for terrorist organizations and drug cartels. Like, and well, all the banks are doing it. And you know what happens to them when they do it? They get a little fine that usually is like 1 or 2 weeks worth of laundering for them. And then they get to keep all of their profits. They can launder money for terrorist groups and drug cartels, each responsible for hundreds of thousands of deaths, if not more. And they just get a little slap on the wrist and like, don't do that anymore. here's a fine. It's crazy, right? Any of us, you or me or anyone, does any money laundering for a little bit, a couple bucks, you're going to jail. But if a bank does it, they get a tax, basically. So, and moving on about one more about presidential candidates. If you've been in the space for a while, you might know who Brock Pierce is. So let's check out Brock's. Brock is running for presidential candidate. There you go.
I'm Brock Pierce. I'm from Minnesota, born and raised. I've lived all over this beautiful nation, from California to Puerto Rico, from child actor to
Nice. Like how he says Puerto Rico with an accent.
entrepreneur to philanthropist. I've built great things out of nothing and taught others to do the same. I love this country, and I see ways in which to better our lives that are uniquely American. But right now, hope is not enough. 2020 has taken its toll on all of us, and many of us are concerned about the state of our nation, from our families, to our mental health, to our economy, to our environment. What has served us in the past will not serve us in the future. Our system has a gaping wound in it right now, and putting on a Band-Aid will not cut it. Well, it gets better from here. I have a vision of helping us remember and redefining what it is to be an American. COVID-19 has brought humanity together in a way where we can reassess our values and decide what freedom really means to us. Technology should be embraced, not feared. It is here to enhance our institutions and improve our lives. If our government was using 21st century technology, all of those stimulus and unemployment checks would have been received by the people in need much sooner. Technology is a solution that we should be proactively using. In the very near future, the landscape of our country will forever change. Innovations like AI will alter our workspace in ways we can foresee and prepare for. This nation was built by entrepreneurs, and this nation will be rebuilt by entrepreneurs, driving us into a 21st century economy. I don't have all the answers. I'm not perfect. God knows I have the battle scars to prove it. But those battle scars have given me the fortitude and the determination to overcome the challenges that we face now. Let's convene. Let's converse. Let's bring all the voices to the table. This is an invitation to participate in the rebuilding of our nation. Now is the time to act. I'm Brock Pierce, and I'm running for President of the United States of America. My mission is to provide a path forward for the rebuilding of our nation. This is about our winning. We need leaders who can assist America in becoming the bastion of hope we've always sought to become. Let's pave that path forward. We are in this together. Join me.
All right, Brock. So I don't vote. But if Brock was one of the two that was actually able to become president, I would vote for him. I mean, dude has been in blockchain for a long time, constantly thinking about decentralized governance models, has been pretty prevalent in the entire space. And anyway, that's interesting. I mean, so, and like I said before, any news is good news, and it's just with the whole Twitter hack and the president's discussing Bitcoin publicly, like it is putting it on everybody's radar. That's good for Bitcoin. Okay, let me just tell you about Binance and so Binance, if we just look here, CoinGecko, and then look at Binance, I want to show you something real quick. So Binance, they are burning. So they started, I think, with 200 million tokens, and I think it's every quarter they do a token burn. So right now they have a circulating supply of I think this is circulating total supply of 147 million and 180 million respectively. They are burning BNB every quarter to eventually get to 100 million total coins. So that cuts us like at 80%. So you have to understand that over time, the supply of BNB is decreasing significantly, right? And so Binance is always creating new ways for their token to be used. They're growing like crazy. I mean, it's like the Amazon or the Walmart or something of the crypto industry. And even though they don't have the best use cases, in my opinion, for tokens, for a token, they're still creating demand for it. And it's been one of my portfolio coins for a long time. And I think this thing has a lot of room to increase. Even though it already has a huge market cap, I still think it has a lot of room to increase because they're burning the BNB every quarter. So this is a long-term hold of mine. And I think that it's something that you might want to look into. All right, the next one talks about the risk of a catastrophic U.S. Bitcoin ban is now passed. So Bitcoin has fought a relationship with governments around the world since it was created a little over 10 years ago. The U.S. looked into the possibility of shutting down Bitcoin back in 2012, and just last month it reported that President Donald Trump told Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin to focus on Bitcoin clampdown over negotiating a China trade deal last year. Now, as Bitcoin begins gaining a broader support on Wall Street and in Washington, the chief executive of major Bitcoin and cryptocurrency investor Digital Currency Group, Barry Silbert, has said that he thinks the risk of a catastrophic U.S. Bitcoin ban is still a thing of the past. For the first time ever, we're past the ban Bitcoin perceived risk, Silbert said, speaking on Bitcoin and crypto asset manager Greyscale's second quarter investor call earlier this week, adding he's cautiously optimistic the crypto regulatory landscape in the U.S. to either improve or remain the same. So I'm not going to read the rest of the article, but I'm torn on this one. It's interesting. There's a lot of different ways that this could go. The smart thing of like, what if this is true? If it's true that we're not going to see any type of major pushback against Bitcoin in the future, then that's because all of the richest people in the world and people that control the world will be buying the hell out of it and controlling a lot of it, which is good for price. And it'd be really difficult for them to actually try to control the network as the mining power is tremendous right now. However, there's the other point of view that Bitcoin threatens the US dollar, and the US dollar is the tool that is used to basically rule the world, right? So the United States is kind of used as a puppet or a mask to for the people that are the richest people in the world, the globalists, people that control the world, in order to kind of push their laws and their rules through to everybody, and that every other country kind of looks to the states to follow the rules. And the US is crazy with enforcing things, right? So everything, because there's this huge military and blah, blah, blah. But once Bitcoin hits $250,000, it will be on par with the value of the United States dollar. Maybe not anymore since they printed tons, but it'll definitely be a massive threat to the world reserve currency right now, which is the dollar. And I expect personally there to be massive pushback at that point. So I don't think that we're past this potential ban. We just haven't seen it yet because they're waiting to see what way it goes. All right, next up, Greyscale hasn't bought a single Bitcoin over 3 weeks. Basically, Greyscale, the last video I did, I guess this was like 3 weeks ago, they had been buying almost 3 times as many Bitcoins that were mined in 1 week. I think there was about 7,000 mined that week, and they had about 20,000 that week. They had been just had been on a buying rampage, and the last 3 weeks they haven't bought any. So this one goes, it's basically just asking why, right? And Greyscale's response when they asked was there was an administrative quiet period for the Greyscale Bitcoin Trust private placement. The trust is now open for subscriptions as of Friday, July 10th, 4 p.m. But my opinion here, kind of like I mentioned earlier, is that it seems like nobody has really been buying or selling Bitcoin. There's been very, very low volatility and a lot of uncertainty in the entire financial market and the entire investment market. People just are not sure what the hell is going on. You know, like I said before, and time again, we have this massive underlying issue of a crumbling global economy. Millions and millions and tens of millions of people around the world are out of work, which leads to a lot of people who can't afford to invest in anything like Bitcoin, and people that lose their jobs that might have had some Bitcoin before might be forced to sell it because they need money to survive. So it's weird that articles, in my opinion, don't talk about this kind of stuff. Like, to me, it's the most like when you go into this price analysis I talked about before, it's just weird to me. Everyone talks about technical analysis and blah blah blah, but like, anyway, my opinion, it just seems obvious to me, is the reason that Bitcoin has been trending sideways, the reason that there might be a huge pullback, is all because of the underlying economics and not because of any technical analysis or because there was an administrative pulled issue or whatever. Anyway, so if you have been using Ethereum for any reason whatsoever, especially probably if you're looking at DeFi and trying to buy some DeFi coins, the network has been incredibly congested and very expensive to use. I had yesterday, actually, I was buying some. What was I buying? Swap. And I was using Uniswap, and I made a purchase, and after like an hour and a half, it was still processing, right? And that fee was already $1.25. And so then I had to research how to, like, if there's any way to speed up the transaction or cancel it so I can put a higher gas fee on it. And so I finally went and figured out how to do that. Basically, how you cancel an ETH transaction is you just send yourself, so just from the address to the same address, the zero in the value, you send 0 ETH to yourself, and then you put a higher gas transaction on it, so you actually have to pay to cancel the transaction. So I actually had to pay like $2 to cancel my first transaction. I sent it myself, I canceled the transactions, that was good. I put another order in, raised the gas fee to like $2, and it went through very quickly. Now this, I don't really understand this article, right? Ethereum right now runs as proof of work, just like Bitcoin does. But it's talking about how Ethereum is now processing more transactions per second, 44. I thought it was 15. But this article goes into it, and I'll read it to you, and then I'll kind of try to, because the article doesn't make sense to me, but I'll give you my, like the only, I guess, my kind of understanding of it, or my assumption of what it's trying to say. The Ethereum network has been among one of the few major projects flourishing in the time of a dull market. Even though the price has been unreactive, the ecosystem has been noticing a faster moving network due to increase in the gas limit. According to the data, the Ethereum gas limit has reached a new all-time high of 12,500,000 from 10 million. This happened after the vote by Ethereum miners to increase the block gas limit by 25%. According to the data provided by co-founder and chief architect of Bloxroute Lab, Alexander, this increase in gas limit was modest and implied that a much higher limit can be put in place. An increase in gas price did not discourage the on-chain transaction, which was noted to have increased. The transaction had increased to 44 per second compared to the previous limit of around 35. As the number of transactions per second increased with a stable on-chain volume, it suggested that the surge in total gas usage likely originated from the increased use of more complex smart contracts required more gas. So this is, yeah, I don't really understand this here. You have, we have, okay, so here, this is talking about, you know, the gas limit increase and the gas being used. People are taking advantage of the fact that the limit has been increased. But when you go down here and we see transactions per second, and we're talking about 15, and then back here, I guess this is around February, we're still seeing it's under 15, but somehow now they're saying it's 44 per second. So as the network remained highly active, the blocks remained full. The need for another increase in gas limit was visible. Along with the increase in transactions being processed, the number of addresses holding one or more coins has also peaked to mark an all-time high. According to data provider Glassnode, at 1.083 million addresses now held over one ETH. Another important metric that highlighted Ethereum's network health was the uncle rate. It is the rate at which Ethereum's blockchain orphans blocks. According to data collected from the mining pool, it can be said that the network was healthy and could handle higher volume of transactions per second. So this blue line is the uncle count. Basically, this is the rate at which Ethereum is orphaning blocks, or basically the same thing as when a block is mined in the Bitcoin network. So basically, what I understand from here, the only thing that makes sense to me, because this article doesn't give enough context or information, is that because they raise the limit for gas prices, there would be more people mining blocks, which would equate to faster block times being processed. Yeah, that's pretty much all I can understand from this article. Yeah, okay. So, and lastly, I want to tell you about Ampleforth. I actually bought into this project like a year ago, and it had I bought into it, and then it just plummeted, and then it remained at the bottom line forever, and then this month it just took off. People caught on because DeFi is catching on, and this is Ample is basically Bitcoin with a elastic money supply. So this is where basically and I'll show you here on the dashboard. So Ample wants to remain around $1. So it wants the goal for it eventually is to remain stable. However, so what it does is basically when the price is, and you have to remember too, right? So price equals the market cap divided by circulating supply, right? And that gives you the price. So if the price is over $1.06, I believe, the total supply of the increases, and it increases to, it's just basically added to all the wallets of all the existing token holders. So if you own 1% of the entire Ample supply, and there's what's called a rebase every 24 hours, where they either add tokens to the supply or subtract them. If you own 1% and they add 100 new tokens to the network, then you would get one new token added to your wallet. And the converse is true. If the price of Ample is below $1, then they will, or below 93 cents, I think, they will start removing supply. And the idea is to try to hit the price target. So what happens, as you can see here, so just boring. The total supply of tokens in the world was just flatline. And then here on July, just boom, increase up. So what happens when the price starts to go up because there's demand for the product and people are buying Ample, and the supply, when they're buying it, is low, it's going to increase the price. And the idea is if they increase the circulating supply, that should decrease the price. Just depends on market demand. If people keep buying and the price is still over $1.06 in that 24-hour period, they're going to increase the supply again. And the same thing the next day, and the same thing the next day, and the same thing the next day. So this is different than any other cryptocurrency in the world, whereas if you want to understand the value of what you have against the US dollar, you need to look at your wallet supply and the price, because every time there's a positive rebase, meaning that tokens are added to the supply because the price was over $1.06 in that 24-hour period, you're getting tokens added to your wallets and the price has increased. So you're getting exponential gains compared to the US dollar. So imagine how much gains you have here when the supply went from basically 20 million to 240 million in the period of a couple of weeks. That is a shit ton. I mean, that is like 12x in supply. Plus, if you had bought it at $1, you're getting a 12x plus 2.58x. I mean, that's like, it's huge. And as long as there's demand that increases for Ample, and it's skyrocketed to like number 44 on CoinMarketCap or something like that, it's going to keep increasing. And this is, so it's incredibly complex. But just to show you kind of the power behind this project, and I'll do a deeper dive. If you go under here under Learn, I think, here it is, Advanced Reading Redbook, right? So ampleforth.org/redbook. And so I started reading this, and when I finish reading it, I'll do another video just kind of strictly on Ampleforth. But I want to show you one more thing. Look at the team. The team is insane. And the investors are insane behind it, right? So you've got these guys from Google, you got these guys from Berkeley, Uber, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Yale, and the team is amazing. Like, and what I love about the team too is they don't have like CEO, CFO, blah, blah, blah. Just a team working on a project, you know? So Evan, this dude from UC Berkeley, has a BS, was working on robotics. This guy, Brandon, from Google, he went to Rice University and has a BS and MS in computer science. Ahmed, and by the way, I watched an AMA with these guys last night. Just straight up, like they said on their website, they're money nerds, and it's amazing to hear them talk. Yeah, they've got a really interesting vision, and I think that it's a valid point, and I think that it could be used as a as not only a store of value, well, not really as a currency that ultimately, once it hits adoption, would remain fairly stable and could be used as a exchange of value. Yeah, so Ahmed was at Google. He spent 5 years as a software engineer, researching search indexes and search ranking groups. So just a gangster at that. Same thing with Nathan, but he went to USC. But also, yeah, same thing with Nathan. He went to USC. Also, it was doing machine learning and big data, traffic predictions, recommender services, content analysis, and text mining. So his master's thesis will focus on developing novel algorithms to protect user friendships and location data. So both of these guys studied like basically how to like growth hack basically. It's an insane team. Just like check out the team. All these guys have amazing bios. And when you go down here to the advisory board, you got Joey Krug from Pantera. You've got Sam from Facebook, Niall from Hoover Institute at Stanford, Noah from MIT and was working with the Libra Foundation from Facebook, Paul from Pantera, Manuel from the Hoover Institute at Stanford. And look at this investors is a powerhouse. It is insane. You got True Ventures, you got Pantera, Founder Collective, Slow Ventures, Brian Armstrong from Coinbase, FBG, Huobi, Spartan, Nima, Skunk, a powerhouse. So there's most of these guys, if not all of them, have done deep due diligence, found it to be a valid project, and chose to invest into it. Anyway, that's all I want to share about Ampleforth today. I would like to do a deep dive into it and do another video in the future, but it's something that I've been watching very, very closely for quite some time. You might want to check it out. Up to you. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. If you wouldn't mind liking, subscribing, sharing with your friends, hitting that bell, and throw down a comment if you want to know something, or just like say hi. All right, guys, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.